Hey now, welcome to Manifesting with Ari Mac. And welcome to Candace Ari on the YouTube. How you doing today? Um, just take care of some stuff over here. Let's take a deep breath and let's try to get into this moment. We got quite a bit to cover today. And I'm going to talk to you today. It's better. About how the planets, elements, and the stars affect you. And I'm going to break down how I read a chart and how it all works together. Okay? So give me a moment. Trying to set some things up here. It's never a dull moment around here. That is for sure. So as you guys populate, give me a moment to set this up because I'm going to break this down. And I hope you guys are going to listen. Okay, so the thing about astrology, affirmations, and aromatherapy, they all work hand in hand. But you have to have an understanding of the dialogue, right? You got to know the language so you know what you're speaking. Okay, and that's where I come in. Because as a spiritual life coach and as an astronomer, I've spent thousands of hours reviewing all kinds of charts and spending time spiritually connecting how these things work. We have 10 planets, and I'm going to go over what each planet represents. And we got 12 zodiac signs. That's not an accident. Okay. Don't forget to like and share this, guys, with family and friends who you think could benefit from this information. Okay. Because I'm giving it to you today. And then we have signs. Okay. Which is, zodiac signs, Aries, Pisces, Cancer, on and so forth. Then we have elements. That's earth, water, fire, air. Okay. We also have styles and planets. But I won't get into styles and planets today. That's another story for another day. I'm going to stick with planets, signs, and elements. So for the planets, you all know where you're born. Everybody know they're born at a certain month and it's under a certain sign. For example, I'm born in March, at the beginning of March. So March sun sign starts off with Piscean energy. So I came down as a Pisces. Now, the moon, which is something we don't talk about, but the moon moves every couple of days. And that moon moves into each of the zodiac signs every month. It just keeps moving. So when you're born with the certain sun sign and then a moon. Now, when you have a positioning of your longitude and your latitude, that's where you know where you were born and the time you were born. The accuracy of astrology is mind blowing. Now, your sun sign, where you were born, that tells where your personality could begin. You know, Pisces rules emotions, it's water sign, empathetic, two fishes swim in the opposite direction. So you could look up your sun sign. That's pretty easy for anybody to follow. But then you get into the planets. Okay. Now, the planets are above us. They are real. There is no guessing. There's no BS. There is a Uranus. I'm sorry, that name tickles me sometimes. There is a Mars. There is a Venus. These planets are in our solar system, so they exist. Okay, so there's no disputing that we have signs, the 12 signs in the zodiac, and then we have planets, which is 10 of those. Well, we also have elements in astrology, and the elements are earth, fire, water, air. Okay, now these play a big factor because when you take those sun signs and you break them down into their element and then you put them in their planet, that starts giving you your personality. It starts showing you how you develop the things that you develop. So, when you have a sun sign and a water sign, for example, and the water signs are, anybody remember? Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer. Those are the three water signs. Let me give you element. Let me give you the signs with the elements so you'll understand. Water rules water. It rules emotions. It's how we feel on the inside. It's just how we absorb people around us. Water is ruled by Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Then we have Earth. Earth is the physical planet, the physical being, the tangible things we hold dear. Now that's ruled by Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Okay. Then we have the air trilogy. Now that's literally air, what we breathe in, what we have surrounding us. It's invisible, but it's always there, right? Now that's ruled by Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, right? Then we have our fire. Fire is exactly what it sounds like. Initiation, uh, making things happen. And in the chat, you guys, let me know what sign you are. You don't have to give me your birthday, but just let me know what sign you are so I can do a little synopsis to see who's tuning in today. All right. So you take those elements, earth, water, fire, air, and then you take those planets, which is the sun sign. Like I said, when you were born, that's where the sun fell. Then we have the moon. We'll talk about that a little later because that's more of the hidden person inside of you. Then we have Venus. Oh, excuse me. We have Mercury. And I always talk about Mercury retrogrades, right? Well, Mercury is how you think. I'm giving you the synopsis of what I do when I look at someone's chart or a company chart or just what's going on in general. Okay. So when you look at Mercury, Mercury is how we think. Gemini, cool. Okay. How we think, how we process, how we intellectualize everything. Now, Mercury, the planet, is ruled by Virgo and Gemini. Yeah, they share that planet. One is an air sign, Gemini, and the other is an earth sign, Virgo, but they share the planet Mercury. And outside the sun and the moon, Mercury is the next planet closest to us, which is why it has an effect on our sun and our moon and our earth. Get it? Because Mercury is the next planet above us. Yay? Okay. So Mercury says, okay, this is how we're thinking. Then you go into Venus. Now, Venus is ruled also by two planets. That's Taurus, which is an earth sign, and Libra, which is an air sign. Now, everybody knows Venus is the goddess of love. It's about harmonies. It's about how you feel when you're in love, how you act, how you emanate. It's the outward display of love. Okay? Two planets rule there. Then we go into Mars. Mars is the action. Guess what it's ruled by? I give you a hint. It's a fire sign. It's ruled by a fire sign. You give up? Okay. Mars is ruled by Aries. It is the god of war, initiation, pioneering. It is the only planet that rules Mars. But the planet of Mars has different times of the year. It's in different zodiac signs. So Mars is normally ruled by nothing but fire, Aries. But you could put a water sign, say, for example, Pisces, in Mars. So Mars is still fire, but now it's got a water element. And we'll talk about that. Then we go into Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is where you get your expansion. It's where you get your luck. Okay. Jupiter is one of the biggest planets in our solar system. That's not a coincidence. And Jupiter deals with our good luck, our fortune. It's where in astrology you're sprinkled with just, benefits. benefits. Wherever your Jupiter is, you probably have a lot of luck and don't realize it. Okay. So, for example, Jupiter is also a fire sign. It's ruled only by one sign, which is Sagittarius. All right. Sagittarius rules Jupiter. So, Sagittarius are pretty lucky. Okay. The Sagittarius sign itself is half human, half animal, which is kind of how, if you know anything about Sagittarius, that's how they are. They could be extremely intellectual and then act like animals. I mean, you know, so they have that duality, but they're also very smart. Jupiter also rules justice and balance. Okay. Then we go into Saturn. Now, Saturn is the taskmaster. I'm glad I'm making you laugh, Melinda. Because Saturn is like the daddy of the zodiac. And of course, it rules Capricorn, and that's an earth sign. So that's structure. Now, I happen to know Capricorn very well, and they rule government, they rule structure, they rule that dutiful stuff, and the actual skin on your body, skin and bones, that's ruled by Saturn. So, Saturn, only one sign rules it, Capricorn. So that's a very structured sign. They also ruled old age. Then you got Uranus. That's only ruled by one sign as well, and it's an air sign, and that's Aquarius. Now, the thing about Uranus is it's unexpected. It's what you can't see happening. It's like that divine order that's happening among us and through us, but you know it, but you can't put your finger on it until maybe somebody writes it down or you see a video, on and so forth, things of that nature. So basically, in a nutshell, when you look at Uranus, and it's ruled by Aquariuses, and I, once again, have a deep relationship with Aquariuses, they march to a beat all their own. Okay. And I won't get into certain aspects of the elements because I don't want to drive you guys crazy. If you want more, follow, like, and subscribe. And I got some treats for you if you continue to listen. Okay. So Uranus, ruled by Aquarius, air sign, it's that unexpected stuff. So wherever Uranus is in your chart, remember it's Aquarius ruled. You could put in another sign. That's, that's your benefit or your blessing. Right? Then we go into Neptune. Neptune is also ruled by one planet. By the way, Uranus is one of those big planets too. It's one of those huge planets. So it has a generational effect on all of us. Okay, because that planet doesn't move that often in signs. Okay. Then we got Neptune. Neptune is ruled by one sign, which is Pisces. Okay. Neptune is the spirituality, it's our faith, it's the emotional aspect of our life. It rules compassion. Okay. It's supposed to be one of those spiritual, you could be a monk and, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all gifts. Appreciate all gifts, loves, hearts. I appreciate because I'm doing this for you guys. I know we have a lot of chaos going on in the world, and I know there's a lot of craziness. But if you can mentally and spiritually find your well being, your balance, then guys, then I did my job. Because I just don't want you to think you don't have choice. You do have choice. You just got to dig a little deeper and make sure your internals are good. Okay. So please like, share, follow, subscribe. Let's do this. All right. So Neptune, hopes, faith, fear, ruled by Pisces. Now it's also a water element. Water. One of the biggest mass on this planet is water. Like 3/4 of the planet is water. I mean, do I really have to say more than that? I mean, 3/4 of the planet is water. So you know that it pulls on us and it has a deep effect on us, right? Okay. And the last planet would be Pluto. Now, Pluto is, I don't know, they've said it's a dwarf planet. We in astrology, we still consider it to be a planet. I can't specify if it's a dwarf or not because I consider it to be a planet. End of story, done. Pluto, it only has one sign that it rules, and that's Scorpio. Scorpio. Now, Scorpio rules death, taxes, rebirth, investigation, behind the scenes, liver, sex. Okay, all these things is what falls onto Pluto. So when I look at someone's chart, first thing I look at is their Mercury, because Mercury is going to tell me how you think. Okay. Now remember, Mercury normally is ruled by two signs: Virgo, which is Earth; Gemini, which is air. But guess what? You may have decided that you want to put a water sign in Mercury when you came down. Because remember, when you came down with specific planets and specific signs at a specific time, which I'm keeping this real basic today. We're only doing earth sign and elements. We're not going to go in signs, styles, and all the other complexities because I don't want to overwhelm you. I just want you to understand the basis of when I'm talking, how I'm coming to my conclusions. And I also have that spirituality that I was born with, being a sun sign Piscean. So I came down praying. But I know I'm also here to be of service and be of light, but not to be abused, not to be treated poorly, but to have my parameters and healthy boundaries to, help others. That's the only way it works, guys. If you can't help yourself, you can't help nobody else. All right. So when you look at how the planets and the stars start falling, as a spiritual life coach, with the understanding of astrology, the manifestation is all in the process of how you receive it, how you receive it. And what my goal is through my classes, my programs, YouTubes, newsletters, please make sure you're joining the blogs and programs. We have programs, is to find your spiritual connection so that you can go forth and be whatever it is you're supposed to be, do whatever it is you're supposed to do, and do it with joy, do it with pride, do it with finesse. So when I look at a chart and I see where the Mercury is, and this is going to be a little advanced, so just bear with me. I also look at what house that Mercury falls in. Because the house is going to tell me elements and styles about that person. So let's just say Mercury, which is normally ruled by air. Yes, do it from the heart, Melinda. It's the only way it works. But let's say you decide to take your Mercury and put it in an earth sign. Let's say Taurus. Now, that's actually a good position because remember, Mercury is ruled by Virgo, which is earth, and Gemini, which is air. So it still works well. That's still close to its native, it's just its cousin. Okay. Now, the thing about Taurus, we can look at the flavors of Taurus. Normally, it's ruled by Venus. So automatically, Taurus is a beautiful, they usually have beautiful speaking voices. They do have a certain presence in their voice. I can attest to having quite a bit of clients with Mercury in Taurus, and they just have a certain soothing because they're coming from more earth. They just are more authoritative about what they do, and they like to have facts and figures. They like to have paperwork. They want to know substance. Okay, so Mercury's in that position, and it's also a fixed sign. Depending on the house that it falls in, usually need a lot of communications and structure, and they want to do it in a loving way. They do not like arguing, they do not like being coarse. On the high side, they could be one of the most eloquent. I mean, the way they pick out colors, I mean, textures. They're very fortunate to have that earth sensuality of Venus in that Mercury position. So that's a sweet position because it flows very well. Now, there could be a dark side because with it being fixed and wanting the niceties of life, Taurus can also be very stubborn. Yes. And when you're stubborn and you are not progressive, eventually what happens? You're rigid. You don't move forward. So you like, we've always done it that way. That's that person with that Mercury and Taurus. Well, this is the way we've always done it. Okay? Not a bad thing. But let's take Mercury and put it in Aquarius. Aquarius is also a fixed sign, but it's an air sign. Now, I just told you, Aquarius, normally their ruling planet is Uranus. And what is that? Unexpected changes, behind the scene events, surprises, electricity, electronics, that kind of stuff. So when you take Mercury The planet of communications, put it in Aquarius, is still an air sign, right? But it's a fixed air sign and it's progressive because on the high end of the Aquarius energy, they're always going to be looking for something new. They're always going to be trying to figure some new things out. They're not going to be orthodox. They're going to be unorthodox in their thinking, in the way that they handle things, in the way that they deal with situations. So when you have your Mercury in Aquarius, and I can't speak to the house because the house says the style and a couple other details. We'll do a house, we'll do another uh, program on that. But it is said that Mercury in Aquarius is the most brilliant of all the signs for it to be in because it's exalted, which means it's at the highest peak as far as being able to be progressive, um, open minded, unorthodox. And we need that in this world. Being rigid, trying to hold on to what was, we are ever changing creatures. Even as I speak, we are literally physically moving. Our planet is in constant motion. Now, we don't feel it because we have gravitation holding us down. And that's what I call free will. Yeah. Because that gives you choice to decide what dress you want to put on today. What food do you want to eat? Okay. That's what gravitation, that's what free will. That's how we put this all together within ourselves. So when I look at Venus, the planet of love, ruled by Libra and Taurus. Remember, Libra's an air sign, Taurus is an earth sign. I look at how you love. How do you project love? Now, normally with Venus being in an air sign, that could be the love letters with that Libra energy. Or with the Taurus energy, actually bringing you a sweet, sweet, sweet rose or a box of chocolates. Both of which work, okay? Both of those work well. If you can get anybody to do either one of those, yes, okay? But let's say we decide to take Venus and put it into a fire sign. Now, remember, Venus is how you love. It's how you act, and that's how you project love. Okay. When you put Venus in a fire sign, it'll still do some intellectual and it'll still be, physically, but it's gonna want action because it's got fire. Okay, fire wants. Now Venus, and let's just say Aries, for example, which is normally ruled by, we remember Mars, which is action, war. You take Venus and you just wow. Now, when you have Venus in Aries, you want action. I mean, you're not the type that kind of sits and waits. You're the lover that would double check, and the fighter that would be down with your partner no matter what. Because Venus in Aries conjures that up. You show your love through actions, doing stuff or making something happen. Okay. So, and that's not a bad thing either. That's not a bad thing. Now, is that comfortable? Well, that's a matter of opinion. If you're born in that position and you have no other choice, then yeah, it's pretty gosh darn convenient because you don't have other choice. Now, is it always easy with the Venus in a fire sign? Because they want action. They want initiation. They want to see something. Come on, underlay. They're the one that will take you somewhere unexpectedly and you'll end up in Paris. That's what Venus in a fire sign is like. While Venus in a water sign, let's say Venus in Pisces, Venus in Cancer, Venus in Scorpio, they're going to look for that emotional validation. They're going to be sending out signals to let you know emotionally. That's like they'll do thoughtful things for you or help you out when you least expect it because they're very also intuitive with that Venus being in water. So when I look at a chart, I'm looking for how you think and then how you love. And then we go into Mars. Now, Mars is the action that you take. It's the initiation. It's how we get the party started. It's that actual flame that kicks it up. Now, when you look at Mars, it's also ruled by fire. No, fire. Mars. I'm sorry. This action is going to determine how you guys interact with your loved one. This is the actual behind the scenes. This is the actual when nobody's around. So with Mars being in, let's just say, a fire sign of Aries, you're going to grab your lover. You're going to hold your lover. You're going to want them close. And if they don't like it, it could make you feel rejected. So I look at these elements when I look at a chart. And when you're looking at projecting information that's going on around you, it's the same. I use the same techniques. So when I'm making suggestions and throwing out stuff for you guys for the future, it's based on what I'm saying to you now. It's just the energy that's around that particular planet in that particular sign, and it's doing with this particular element. Capiche? Because that's how we do the manifestation. Then we got the Jupiter, normally ruled by Sag. Saturn, normally ruled by Capricorn, structure. Uranus, unexpected. Fixed, ruled by Aquarius. Neptune, watery as all heck, ruled by Piscean energy. It rules faith, hope, religion, makeup, and Pluto. That's ruled by Scorpio, normally behind the scenes, and it is fixed. When you put those elements together with the time that you were born and the date that you were born on, I have a composite of what it looks like inside your spiritual structure. It's like your x-ray. It's like an x-ray. It's like the snapshot of, hey, boom, I'm here. This is the energy I'm going to carry with me. These are goals that I'd like to make happen. Boom, let's go. Because everybody always wonders how some people end up in great families or end up with great jobs. And, it's energy, guys. It's energy. You can be born with or without that energy. If you're fortunate and you have things around you to support you, family, friends, culture, communities, on and so forth, that's a bonus. That's a blessing. But even if you're not, you can come down to this world, this earth, because that's where the sun sign is. It all compiles right here on this lovely planet. And use the elements that are inside of you to draw what you want to yourself for manifestation to occur. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the part where folks get a little nervous. Gotta take some drink. I made some jamaica, and that's just hibiscus flowers. And I add a little brown sugar. This is so refreshing. I can't even tell you. It's something about when you get satiated. It's very hard to describe when you're not happy. I think that's why we have so many people that are just angry, because it's hard to put into words when you're not satisfied, that things are just not going very well. And I know it comes out in different forms for different people. I hear it. But to know thyself, to get more comfortable with what's going on in this noggin, to understand how you affect others and how you can use that gift to progress in your life and make things that you want happen. Wow. It's sometimes really hard for me to have to watch the struggle that humanities has to go through. But I do realize it's not everybody's it's not everybody's thing. Not everybody is designed to be happy. Not everybody wants to be happy. Some people have seriously major physical challenges that's preventing them from being happy. I do understand that. I do, because it is not easy to maintain life, your mentals, your spiritual well-being. I get that. Thank you. It is refreshing. I love my Jamaica. But what we have to do, guys, just like how you get up in the morning, and you brush your teeth and you wash your face and you put it together for the day. It's the same thing with manifesting. You have to apply that same energy to commit to get up in the morning, do whatever you do for your meditations, do your affirmations, run programs, watch positive videos, whatever it is that you do. But it has to be at that level, that stellar level, because it's like a magnet, you guys. When you start understanding your elements and how you receive information and how you disseminate within you, the cause and effect of your life becomes in balance because you'll know thyself and you can do better because you'll make better choices for yourself. Yeah. See, I know it gets challenging and I know it can be overwhelming, but here's what I love, because we have free will, which means even if nothing else is going the way you want and it's all sucky, you can still tune into yourself and treat yourself better mentally, spiritually, and psychologically. You can choose to go sit in a park and relax, go have a decent meal with somebody you care for. Actually, sit in your car when you leave work and breathe, to let go of all that bullshit at work. Because otherwise, you're going to be trying to carry that into your next situation. And that could be stopping by to pick up food, going by the grocery stores, picking up you're running your errands, and then walking in the house. I know some people work from home, so please apply where it's applicable. But when you know that you carry certain energies a certain way, and you know you handle mentally certain things in certain ways, it's a lot easier for you to digest, if that makes any sense. You're not going to be so quick to react because you know this is my process. For example, I have a client who's a sun sign Taurus, sun sign, and she's got a lot of fixed planets around her. Her Mercury is in Gemini in the third house. So she has to communicate. She just has to say something, right? Because in her nature, she understands that Taurus part gets its practical da 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 da, but that Gemini got to be heard. So she's learned to write things down and destroy them. She's learned to go for long walks because she can kind of listen to music and think her way through it. Hell, I think once she just literally sit and screamed at an hour at some park somewhere that nobody knew what the hell was going on because nobody was there really. But I mean, she had to get it out. She didn't know that. She didn't know she had to get out. She just thought, I'm just frustrated and I want to say stupid shit. Because that's what it feels like sometimes. Like you can't control your mouth because you got all these emotion going, depending on where you're at. And you just want to, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be constructive and being heard. But it's how you do it to set the stage of how you perpetuate yourself forward or backwards. Hey, we all have that relative, family, or friend that's always in some sort of hot water. It's what they call a Lucy. Hey man, also Taurus full capable of ability to tap into the world, change our world. Okay, so basically, as you start tuning into yourself, and this is why I do manifesting with Ari Mack, handles by Ari, you actually can hear yourself. And I've created products and services and helped thousands. But everyone I helped wanted my help and wanted to work through their situations with that spiritual fortitude, with that mental solace, with that psychological understanding of different facets. So it's not just always you. Like you always messing up. Sometimes it is circumstances. A couple of days ago, I was trying to get to the store. I wanted to make this 15 bean soup. Because I could take it. It's 15 different beans. The key, just for you guys, is to soak the beans overnight in a broth or something you dig and make sure they drain really well. Anyway, that's the key to and saute them really nicely. Anywho, I had every intention of just going into the store, getting my beans, and leaving. There was an accident on my street, which is not that busy usually, like it's pretty cash. They sent us around, which sent me in a different direction than because the store was literally up the street. Now I'm going away from where I want to go. My gas light came on. My gas light came on. And you guys, I thought I had enough gas. So then I had to start going toward, because I go to Costco to get my gas. So I had to go GPS it away from the store. Now I have to go toward Costco. But because I set Costco into my GPS, God protective system. That's what I call my GPS, God protective system. I ended up going to a different Costco. And I said, what the fudge? I'm like, how did I get here? And then I just realized, you know what? Right now, you need to flow with this. Okay. You do not need to sit here and try to chastise yourself. You had every intention of going in one spot, which should have took maybe half an hour tops. Now you're 45 minutes and you still ain't where you need to be. So let's just go to Costco. And it's a new Costco. And it's a Costco you probably wouldn't have picked on your own. So let's see what's up. So I became a good sport. And even when I got there, it's a different style, just a different way of dealing with things. So you had to get used to that. But all the while, I kept getting out of my own way because I already knew this wasn't about me. I had every intention on taking my derriere to my store up the street that's less than 20 minutes away from me. And somehow, through the course of the energies, I ended up in another city at a Costco. And then I later realized that there were some specials things that I needed to get. So I was happy that I ended up, en route. But baby, 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 when it was happening, heavenly no. Heavenly no. I was pissed off. I did not want to go in that direction. But Spirit had another plan for me, you guys. Because I'm constantly in my meditation, my prayers, and asking for guidance. So if I'm being guided away from the spot I thought I was going to go to, then obviously there's a reason. Because I did need gas. I thought I had gas or didn't have gas. So that's what kickstarted it. But guess what? That gas going to that Costco was not what I was considering. I wanted to go back to the one that was familiar with me to stay in my hood. But the universe said, no, that's not what we're going to do, Miss Mac. No, no, no. We're going to take, you're going to go somewhere else. You're going to do something else. That's what you're going to do. And when you understand, we have a lot of retrogrades, not just Mercury retrograde. There's planets that go against our, let's just say, energy pool. They do have an effect on us. Okay. So when I'm talking to you in general, I'm looking at each sun sign, each planet, and each element to make a synopsis based on the spiritual aspects, spiritual, that's going on. Okay, because it's normal to have anxiety. I don't know where people got this that they shouldn't ever have anxiety, have to be perfect or something. I'm not sure. Do you guys know where that came from? Because I have to tell you, it's a bunch of bullshit. You're going to have reactions based on where your Mercury is. It'll tell you how you're going to react. Knowing that about yourself, you can make a better choice so that you're not showing your ass or you put yourself in good company. Set yourself up for success. That's what I'm talking about. Help bridge that gap so that you're not self-sabotaging. Oh, well, thank you, Raza, a random stream. Welcome. Manifesting with Ari Mac. But when you get in that flow with the universe, guys, and you know certain things about yourself and how you personally think and how you process information, It gives you permission not to be an asshole. Yeah. Because you know better, you're going to do better, right? If you knew better, you'd make a better choice. Am I correct? And that's what the stars tell us. Here's your choices. And I'm the best interpreter on how that information flows for each sign. Yes. Because I've seen it in real time. When I look at someone's chart or I look at what's going on around the earth, I look for the high and the low. Now, right now, we're in a Virgo cycle, which happy birthday to all my Virgos, but we're getting ready to go into a Librian cycle. And that's going to be happening, next couple of days. By the 20th, the sun will be in Libra. And that means we're going to be shifting the energies again. Remember, it's an ebb and a flow, an ebb and a flow. And each sign rules a particular thing. It has a particular discipline, right? And once you know each of those signs, let's just say flavor, then you kind of get a better idea of how it works. And that's where you level up with me, spiritual coach Ari Mack. I created a program called The Gap, Guided Astrology Program. And it's a weekly Zoom that comes out. It's not overly complicated. It's pretty direct, pretty to the point. Because you need to flow. You need to know what's flowing around you. You get the weather forecast, don't you? You don't go outside without thinking, do I need an umbrella today? Should I put on a sweater, bring a jacket? Come on. We use this information so we can make better choices for our wardrobe. Well, the universe has given us the same opportunities, guys, with the stars above. You just have to know how to read it. And yes, you can look at the aspects. There's tons of information online. And I'm happy to say I also offer a lot of free information. So check out my free information either in my bio or at my candlesbyari.com site. Because I am breaking this down and I am giving you the information. So when I speak about the different planets and the different signs, it gives you a better understanding of maybe what's happening around you. And if you happen to know your chart, even sweeter. But if you don't, that's okay. You got a sun sign. My personal philosophies is if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. But if you teach them how to fish, he'll eat for the rest of his life. Because once you know what you're looking for and you understand how you are assessing information, how you digest information, baby, that is so powerfully for your self-control. You're no longer looking for somebody else to tell you what to do and how to do it. You trust yourself enough to know what you do not feel comfortable doing because your body's telling you, and what you would excel at doing if you put the focus and concentration on it. And that includes going through changes, guys. When you're dealing with some physical changes, like surgeries, families, government stuff. I mean, these are all changes that affect us. And that's why it's so important. We have to tune into how we're dealing with it. Yeah, how we're dealing with it. And listening to your heart, understanding that you're doing the best that you can, and not allowing yourself to implode to the point where you just start making poor choices and start saying horrible things that have power to them, things that there's a vibrational energy that you're jumping into. And that's choice, guys. That's choice. So if you want to level up, you want to understand, follow, like, subscribe, and check out my classes and programs. Because it's time for us to do better. We got less people on this planet. People aren't having as many children anymore. They're just kind of slowed down. I know here in the United States, there's been a definite decrease. I have plenty of people in the educational department that are saying that we have less kids. And I look at the generational. My great grandmother had six. My grandmother had five. My mom had three. I had one. Okay. So, it just depends on the person, the choices, and the insight. So we're going to need each other on some capacities because we're human. And what's always tickling to me is when somebody says, I just don't care. And they keep saying it. I don't care. Did you hear me? I don't care. I heard you the first time and I believed you. Now that you're reiterating it, that's just you reinforcing to self whatever it is you need to do. I just happen to be in the room. That's how I look at that. Because I'm not arguing with you about it. You said it. Okay, cool. And negative energy doesn't know what to do with that. When somebody's already in a spiral and they want to pull you in with them and you personally decline, and you could feel this weirdness coming off of them because they were expecting you to say, how can I help? What can I do? So they can pull you into their chaos. When you start knowing yourself, when you start understanding yourself, you just do not allow yourself to go into crazy shit anymore. You have that split second like, is this going to help or hinder me? Am I going to be able to move forward, or I'm going to be in deep, deep, deep boo boo when this is done? And sometimes just thinking it that through, that split second, will keep you from going into doo doo land. Mm-hmm. Like when I was trying to go to the store the other day, and there's a detour on my street. And I ended up going to Costco because I needed gas. And I didn't go to the Costco I was familiar with. I went to the Costco in what I consider Egypt. It was a little further for me. I would have not picked that one. I ended up staying, found another store, never got what I originally went out for. What the original journey started, I cannot even tell you. I just was looking for some kale. Just some kale. I wanted kale with dinner, and I just so we had I think we have sweet peas. I had some sweet peas. I found some sweet peas, and I had to shuck them and do all this other stuff. But bottom line, I already knew that the universe was guiding me, and I decided not to disturb that flow. I wasn't in any danger. There was no gun to my head. All right. The universe needed me to be out in the world. Sometimes we're there as audience members. You ever thought about that? Like sometimes you're just there to bear witness. And see, I love the fact that we have these recordable objects through phones, tablets, recording systems, all kinds of ways. So you can record your own progress. I remember seeing a guy that took a picture of himself every day for 3 years. I mean, it's going to be a beautiful collage for him because he literally has a time capsule seeing exactly as his development as a human, wherever he started and wherever he takes the last picture. I mean, he gets to put that together and see his own personal involvement physically. Now, I bet he was an earth sign. I bet you he was a Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo. I bet whoever thought of that or did that was a Virgo sun sign person. And I say that because Virgos would be meticulous about picking that particular detail and finding this particular way to access it for no cost and create a masterpiece from it. Because Virgos are brilliant. Like if you have Mercury in Virgo, oh my goodness, the way your mind works is incredible. I mean, you can assess things quickly. You can get things really sharp and clean. I mean, because it's ruled. Remember, Mercury's ruled by Virgo as well. So it's also brilliant. And it's an earth sign, but it's a mutable earth sign. So sometimes with Virgo being in Mercury, they can become a little manic because they have to keep moving. They have to keep doing stuff. And if there's nothing to do physically, and I'm talking like if they're not placed very well, then it's hard for them, you know, to grow and prosper because they're still kind of stuck on, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying, because they're programmed and they're very, program oriented, detail oriented. So they can get caught up in details and go down the rabbit hole of details. That's a possibility. But on the other side, their details could be so brilliant that it could be the masterpiece behind all the structures of how to make things work. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate it. So when I'm talking about manifestation and I'm talking about astrology, okay, I'm giving you a little insight of how I look at a chart so that I can help the end user, my client, myself, my family, my friends, keep from going in the wrong direction. Yeah, because sometimes you just got to stand your ground. You just got to know that this too shall pass and there will be new ways. Because anytime a door closes, there's always another door that opens. I know we don't see it that way when it's happening because we're more pissed that the door is closing, but I assure you, as one door closes and another door opens, if you're open to it, it could be a wonderful cathartic journey of discovery. If you're not, it could be some painful shit. And that's all I can say. Because your heart and mind and spirit will have to deal with the psychological burdens that you're carrying. And of course, wherever you placed your Mercury dictates to what degree. So when I'm talking about manifesting, when I'm talking about candles, I'm giving you the tools, the insight, so that you can make a better choice. Now I go live once a week, every Thursday, here on TikTok and on my YouTube. So please make sure you're sharing, you're liking, you're subscribing. Now check out my products and my services because I have created things that complement all the things that I do to reinforce to you, how to be the best version of yourself. You got to use it. You got to put the time in on it. I assure you, you're worth it, but you got to believe it. So the next time you look in the mirror, I want you to say something nice to yourself. I want you to look at yourself and think you're doing the best that you can. And I want you just to pay attention to some of the things that I'm going to be putting out. Just food for thought. Now I'm on all social medias, Facebook, Instagram, here on TikTok, here YouTube, and my website, candlesbyra.com and spiritualcoaching.com. There's resources and they do have opportunities for growth. So I'm going to ask you guys to really take some time and count your blessings. And when you're thinking about me and the information I'm giving you, just know that it's coming from the higher ups, literally from the stars above. And if the information doesn't work for you, not a problem. Just ignore me. Keep on going. It's no big deal. Because this is just food for thought. And it just happens to be information that could be very, very beneficial from an expert in this field, which is me, spiritual coach Ari Mack. So I'm going to say thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it. Definitely don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. And if you liked what I'm saying here, then you will love my GAP program, the Guided Astrology Program. It's only $9.99 as an intro. That's less than going to Starbucks twice a month. And then it's $29.99 a month, and you get your weekly dose of forecast of what's going on in the cosmos, particularly in your world. So definitely check it out. And remember, you guys, you are blessed. See you soon. Bye. Bye.